1909, a man stood on a hilltop, looked down into an Ohio River valley and said, "Here we will build a steel plant." Before him he saw the placid grain fields and apple orchards of Holliday's Cove, West Virginia. One day, years later, he stands on the hilltop and looks down into the valley again. He, Ernest T. Weir, sees many things: early beginnings, struggles, achievements. He sees a dream come true. He sees Weirton, USA. He might think back, Ernest Weir might, to a man named Peter Tarr. In 1794, on this site near Weirton's mighty blast furnaces of today, Tarr built the first iron furnace west of the Alleghenies. This was one beginning, humble, crude, but it helped spawn the dynamic, productive giant that is steel. Thinking back to his first job at 15, a $3 a week office boy. Then in 1905 to this mill at Clarksburg, West Virginia. Today it's a little used warehouse. Ernest and David Weir, John Phillips, John Williams and others, all under 30, borrowed $250,000 to buy it. They weathered limited resources, the financial panic of 1907, even drought. By 1908, Clarksburg was a 12-mill tin plate company. By 1909, expansion was in order. And so they came here to this valley. And looking at it today, he sometimes finds it difficult to believe his eyes. For this is Weirton, West Virginia, home of Weirton Steel, world's largest independent tin plate producer, part of National Steel Corporation, 5th largest steel producer. Just what is steel? A bright schoolboy might say, it is coal at Weirton, coal from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Kentucky. It is limestone from Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia. And it is ore from the Mesabi Range. Ask Ernest Weir or Weirton Steel President Tom Millsap, who started as a 10-cent-an-hour laborer in the open hearth, what is steel? And they might answer, steel is vision. Tom Millsap has an example in his hand, a chunk of Labrador ore, Ungava ore. He wants his employees to know its story. So to Publicity Director John A. Jones, center, to photographer Ted Bonner, left, to Employees Bulletin Editor Al Knight comes an assignment from Millsap. Go to Labrador, get the Ungava story, then tell the people of Weirton why this story is important to them, why Ungava today means job security tomorrow, not just the next few years, but 15, 75, even 150 years ahead. In picture and text, they told that story. It wasn't just a Weirton story, it was bigger than that. Ungava was a story of several companies, many men. Ungava was a free enterprise story, and Weirton was a part of it. Then Conquest of Ungava came to town, a nationally distributed motion picture about the fabulous Labrador project. Weirton took on all of the glamorous trappings of a Hollywood first night. Crowds, searchlights, and the 93-piece high school band parading down Main Street. Radio interviews, of course, with Red Donnelly of WSTV handling the microphone. Many of those who spoke said they felt that tonight Labrador and Weirton seemed like neighbors. The Ungava story, which the Bulletin had aptly called Free Enterprise Goes North, was really a local story as well. Not only a local story in Weirton, but also in Youngstown, Cleveland, Wheeling, Middletown, and every other steel town where Ungava ore would be used. This, then, was what they saw. Beyond the shining river is the land that was nothing. Ungava, the Eskimo and Indian called it, the land of far away. Pitted by glaciers, folded on itself by eruptions beneath the Earth's skin, a land of mist and water. This Laurentian Plateau in northeastern Canada is a lonely place. It has been called the land that God gave to Cain. Yet here, almost 20 years ago, an Indian prospector made a discovery. Chief Mateo Andre found a piece of rock. It held rich, raw iron. Thus the beginning of an epic, the conquest of Ungava. Astride the Quebec-Labrador border, Andre had located one of the richest iron ore deposits in the world, as close to the Great Lakes blast furnaces as Minnesota's mighty Mesabi. It took money, $200 million in private capital, not government funds. It was too big for one company, so the resources and talents of 5 great steel companies and 2 mining companies were joined. American steelmen Weir, White, Hook, Holloway, Millsop, Fink, Purnell said, "Start digging." The leaders were George Humphrey of the M.A. Hanna Company, now Secretary of the Treasury, and Canadian mining executive Jules Timmins. Here the first diggings were analyzed, and 400 million tons of ore worth mining were pinpointed. Beside a lake that had known only the Indians' canoe, engineer and geologist planned prospecting trips to locate new fields for drilling. Unmapped for 50 years, the area now had been combed by aerial photographers. Plane travel saved time. The summer lasted only 150 days. The land was Precambrian, made by the muck of a sea that disappeared 1 million years ago. The blue, yellow, brown, and black iron was there on the surface, or just below it. Burnt Creek, northern terminus of the railroad, sat on top of an iron ore deposit worth millions. It would have to be moved and a real town built elsewhere. There were no schools yet. Frontier mothers did the teaching. The men who came here to work long hours for long pay really ate well. 3 kinds of meat, 4 kinds of dessert, as much as they wanted. Burnt Creek was no Wild West boom town, just a quiet little game and the long wait to go to 7 Islands, 360 miles to the south. In its 300-year history, this French and Indian town of fishermen, trappers, and woodsmen had no road leading to it but the broad St. Lawrence River. Suddenly, in one clean sweep, 7 Islands was a city with an airline, a seaport, and a building boom. Meanwhile, the builders prepared to bridge the Canadian wilderness with a railroad. Stores and supplies flooded in. In the beginning, there was just the airline. Men, bulldozers, and food, even the largest drills, lumber for bunkhouses, cement for dams. Everything needed to begin the project, supply it, and keep it going went by air. This became the largest private airlift in the world. To this jumping off place came the people to go north with the supplies. Climbed northward steadily, like the Indians' legendary ladder of arrows that led to the top of the world. The iron ore drew men like a magnet to build the railroads, the airstrips, the dams. Men with tools bought with savings of others would burst through rocks and forests with the creative power of paycheck and profit. Airlift the earth-moving machines northward. Let men gnaw at granite that had resisted the old glaciers. Clear, build, move ahead. Was Muscat, the primeval ooze itself, in which a truck or a whole section of a railroad could sink out of sight. Muck at mile 6, sand at mile 40, rock at mile 12, and drainage all along the watery line. A bridge at mile 50, and a dam at 328. Was built in sections, a thin knife of steel inching forward from nowhere to nowhere. Except for the machines, it was the way railroads have always been built. Halifax to Saskatoon, Baltimore to the Ohio to the Western Sea. At 7 Islands, Quonset steel buildings were erected for giant repair shops and terminals. Here, millions of tons of Ungava ore brought down by train from Burnt Creek would be received, graded, stored, and shipped. The harbor had to be dredged, docks built. Locomotives arrived to move the first train loads of ore. One day, most of the ore will travel upriver to Montreal. Beyond, where rapids block the river, a completed St. Lawrence Seaway will permit shipment right into the Great Lakes and write another dramatic chapter to the conquest of Ungava. You have seen the Ungava story. 5 great steel companies, 2 great mining companies made it possible. And Weirton is just one place where the ore will come. For Ernest Weir and his associates, Ungava typifies the planning ahead, the vision in steel. Without it, free enterprise is neither free nor is it enterprise. An example, to understand Ungava, you must understand Masabi. From these open pits came the ore which won 2 world wars. By mid-century, however, high-grade Masabi ore was diminishing. Future demand, peace or war, would find it wanting. The time to think of tomorrow was now. The elongated ore boats and the huge complex of machinery which can load their cavernous holds in less than 2 hours, a familiar part of the Masabi story, will serve Ungava too. And so there must be more planning. For more ore means more boats, bigger and faster than any yet built. At Lorraine, Mary Weir christens one of them. Weir, named in honor of her husband. M.A. Hannah's Joseph Thompson. Weirs. Weirton Steel's Tom Millsap and George Fink, president of Great Lakes Steel and also of National Steel. Unable to attend, George Humphrey and Jewel Timmons are there in spirit. Their vision made Ungava a project vital to the nation, and at this point, Ernest Weir sees more than projects and planning. He sees a city of nearly 30,000 people, a city called Freedom Town, USA. He sees a well-governed city. Here the city council meets with Mayor Tom Millsap twice and city manager Dan Sweeney. He sees a patriotic city. Over 50% of the company's employees are veterans. 5,000 names are on its World War II honor roll. 120 of them carry gold stars. He sees an attractive city, a city where 95% of the people own their own homes, a percentage unmatched by any other American community. Sees a building city, building a new $4 million hospital with the most modern facilities. Another dramatic product of Weirton's building program, the ultra-modern community center. It provides recreation for all. An example of civic pride and community spirit. The lobby of the contains a dramatic mural by Edwin capturing the Weirton spirit of brotherhood and labor management teamwork. There is also a well-stocked library operated by the Weirton Women's Club and receiving support from the community chest. And there are meeting rooms for local organizations, like the Golden Age Club, where some of the older folks can meet, reminisce, and enjoy a nostalgic companionship. Over 2,500 of 15,000 employees have been on the Weirton team for more than 25 years. The young have their gymnasium, which can be converted into a 2,000-seat auditorium, as well as a magnificent swimming pool, 75 by 35 feet, one of the most popular spots in the center. There are many other facilities. A well-equipped stage in the auditorium suitable for either the budding local talent or a performance by a visiting celebrity. The youth center, complete with snack bar, also has a busy jukebox, which provides the music for that violent form of adolescent exercise known as dancing. Then is the community center, made of Weirton teamwork, an exciting chapter in the Weirton story. And there are still other chapters, other things to see from a hilltop. Ernest Weir can look out upon a religious city where all faiths worship in freedom and tolerance. A good, expanding public and parochial school system, a vocational trade school unequaled in the state, and a high school with a and he sees other things. The Margaret Manson Weir Swimming Pool and Park, donated by the late David M. Weir, his brother, as a memorial to their mother. Adjoining the park is the William, with its undulating fairways and well-manicured greens. It has a membership of more than 350 steelworkers, merchants, and professional men of the community. Nearby, the Pleasant Valley Country Club offers excellent facilities for duffer and par shooter alike. Weirton, he knows, is a prosperous city. Company payroll, well over $1 million a week. Vacation pay, another $3 million annually. Prosperous and not a one-company city. As Weirton grew, other industries established here too. He sees a city free of industrial strife, an independent union in the mill. The Independent Steelworkers Union is NLRB certified. In an industry where labor disputes have not been uncommon, his company has had no strikes for 20 years. Both in Weirton and at this plant in Steubenville, Ohio, chiefly a tin plate producer, workers receive the highest wages in the steel industry and have superior insurance and pension plans. What makes all of this possible? One answer is quality. Not only making the best product possible, but constantly seeking to improve that product. In this quality control building, research and development toward that goal never cease. Quality, production. These are words that a veteran steelman like Ernest Weir understands. For to him, the making of steel is something alive and pulsating. And the heat of fusion, the glare of the furnaces, are a part of his blood. National Steel, of which he is Chief Executive Officer. It is an appropriate trademark, for National is the fastest growing of America's major steel producers. Here, a 3-ton slab of steel begins its journey in the hot strip mill. In 90 seconds, this slab will be reduced to a strip of steel 750 feet long, no thicker than a piece of cardboard. Steel races through here at 1,620 feet a minute. It takes 150 tons of water to make a ton of steel. Finally, the steel is reduced to its proper size. Steel is called the universal metal because of its low cost and many uses. Here, steel coils are rolled into 5-mile-long, 5-ton reels at a mile-a-minute clip. In the sheet mill, the steel coils are fed into a continuous galvanizing line where they are coated with pure zinc. Some of this galvanized steel is corrugated for Quonset buildings, a development of National Steel's Great Lakes division. Weirton produces all of the galvanized steel used in Quonsets worldwide. Weirton is the world's largest independent producer of tin plate, and this is the world's largest tin mill. Here, a coil of steel is readied for its trip through the number 4 electrolytic line, where it will be coated with a thin layer of tin, first on one side, then on the other. The housewife's tin can, you see, is not tin, but tin-plated steel. The steel strip races through the 3 decks of the huge electroplater, much as a newspaper roars through a press. The action of the line is continuous. If all of Weirton's tin plate production for 1 year could be molded into a single enormous tin can, this can would be large enough to hold all of the water pouring over Niagara Falls for 2 years and still not spill over. Here, as in all mills, the emphasis is not only on efficiency and speed, but on a word the whole company lives by. This entire line, running 3 stories high and 2 city blocks long, is operated by skilled steelmen with remote controls and the most modern equipment. Weirton has made many contributions to the advancement of steel technology. Among them, it planned the electrolytic process of coating steel with tin or it originated an entirely new product, differential tin plate. Today, Weirton operates the fastest and largest electrolytic lines in the industry. The gleaming tin plate rolls into coilers at the end of the electrolytic line. This production goes into the 34 billion tin cans America uses and discards every year. The coils move to the cutting lines and inspection. Here there is a rigid scrutiny of each surface, both by human and electric eyes. Irregularities are immediately revealed, any faulty tin plate discarded. The coils are then cut into sheets of required tin plate sizes. In the assorting room, tin plate sheets get a final inspection. This is traditional. And these girls in blue handle it with dexterity and precision. As the sheets are flopped over, they are sorted into primes, seconds, and discards. Now the shipping department takes over. The tin plate is packed into cartons, each bearing the renowned We're Right label. A famous name in tin plate is dispatched to some of the famous names of industry. Sometimes the journey begins by rail, sometimes by truck. Products vary. Steel for the home, for the farm, for automobiles, Quonset steel and tin plate. So do the distances, a few miles perhaps, or halfway around the world. There is also shipment by barge, each one holding the equivalent of 15 railroad boxcars. These barges make a 3-week trip down the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, through 2 ship canals, to Weirton's sister plant, National Steel Products Company of Houston, Texas. They also serve customers along 2,500 miles of river and waterway systems. All of this Ernest Weir sees and remembers. And yet above all, he sees people. He sees them more vividly than production figures or balance sheets. What about the people? The 15,000 employees, the 35 nationalities side by side. What has all this meant to them, the men of steel? Yes, he thinks about them. And looking down from the hilltop, he is reassured. In 1909, Ernest Weir stood on this very site and said, "Here we will build a steel plant." Today he looks again, and very quietly and very humbly says, "Yes, here we have built a steel plant, but we have done much more. We have built the foundations for good living for thousands of American families in today and in the years to come."